Good morning, afternoon, and evening. Welcome back to the Liberal Artist Podcast. I am your host, Bodio, and with me I have Kaylie Horowitz.
Hello.
And Andy Gibby Gibson.
Or is it just a reboot of Andy Gibby Gibson?
Oh,
No.
For a new audience.
Okay.
It's time for a new Gibby for a new generation.
As played by Timothee Chalamet.
You think you got Chalamet money? Is that what's happening
I don't
right
know,
now?
man.
You got curly-haired
maybe.
French bastard money? I don't know that kid. I'm sure he's nice.
It's too early in the episode for me to already be doing a spit take, goddammit.
You sound like an English commoner talking about like Louis the 14th from like across the channel, just like that fucking curly-haired
Motherfucker can
asshole over
afford
there.
cake? Are you kidding me? I've had bread 6 times this week. Goddamn.
Me looking at the price of eggs, though.
Facts.
It's getting better. Not great, but
It's-
better.
It's still not great, but it's better.
I have to tell you all and the audience. It's fairly late when we're recording this, and Gibby and Kaylie have been working all day, and I just got back from the gym, so I've got like pre-workout protein, metal, and hardcore hip hop just like in my veins right now.
Nice.
So it's gonna go listen to Gaithersburg Freestyle by Logic. College Park just came out, not a sponsor. And then go listen to Black Fire Upon Us, Death Album 2, Metalocalypse.
Brutal.
And then just play those on repeat for an hour and do deadlifts like I just did.
Full Metalocalypse.
That wasn't funny.
Oh, okay.
I liked it because I like both of those things. If you want my metal tracks to add to your playlist, go add Brotherhood of the Snake and then a little bit of good 80s Metallica because, frankly, it still rocks, still good. Kaylie, what's your death metal suggestion for the day?
Blame the show that I'm currently doing that's set in the 1860s, but I just
For
have
metal?
Union Army marching songs playing in my head 24/7 now because I'm playing a Union soldier for this show that I'm
way
in.
down south in the land of traitors, rattlesnakes
The
and
greatest
alligators.
diss track of all time, dude.
Run away, run away, you Johnny Rebel fucks.
Unfortunately, that song is not in this show, and I'm actually kind of sad.
Why do you all hate America? Is my question.
Ask our sound designer. I don't
Where
make these
are they?
decisions.
Bring them to me right now.
Oh God!
Bring them to us. Yes.
It's compromised. I gotta go.
Grab them,
Ah.
put them in a duffel bag, fly them to California to answer first, and then fly them to me.
And then
so
fly
that
them
we
back
can
to
have a
Britain
chat.
where they fucking belong. With the rest of them traitor bastards.
No, we're using
Going down to fucking Dixie.
To kick ass.
We're using Rally Around the Flag as most of our marching on stage singing music, but like me and a good chunk of the cast are like, oh, but Land of Dixie, that was the better one that was
Boo.
going around TikTok to
Boo.
combat the sea shanties.
Play John Brown's Body, you Confederate fucks. That song slaps.
Sounds pretty good.
Oh my God, it rules. That guy was absolutely crazy and an American hero. That guy had the world's largest, strongest beard. And he was just like, I think I'm going to go kill some slavers today.
I will say there's something about like all the research we've been doing for this time period. The like for Americans antebellum, but the Victorian era, like the late 1800s, men's facial hair was on another level.
They had
And
nothing
I've
else to
been-
do.
I've been seeing so many like fashion influencers, commentators, whatever on TikTok being like, here are things in men's fashion that maybe could be like seeing a uptrend in like style, appearance, whatever.
Gross
And
mustaches.
sometimes it's texture and fabrics, and some of them are saying fun, like strange facial hair may or may not be something in the coming years as we move into like kind of next gap of like whatever 150 years of like trend kind of thing. But I don't know if we would be ready for a new century of weird hair like that, but also
Please no.
I kind of want to see what it would look like.
I just want like a president with a beard again, just once. Just once.
You know why they don't do that, right? Chemical warfare is a thing now. This is not a joke. People have to be
that
able
makes
to wear
sense
gas
because
mask.
they have to be able to wear the gas mask.
That's why they make you shave.
Yeah.
Also,
okay, yeah.
I guess Hollywood. I guess Washington just likes weak chins.
Yep. Weak chins and waddles and thick necks and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Beards are contour for men, and I
Right.
guess we just aren't there anymore. It's funny that you say that because now I'm just thinking about like the last president who had facial hair, which I'm pretty sure was like Theodore Roosevelt. Either him or Taft.
Was it? I was gonna say Taft. Was it Teddy?
I think it was Taft. I think because Taft came after Roosevelt, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it
He
really
was the one.
that far back?
It really is. It's been over 100 years
Oh
or
my
so.
God.
And both of them were probably just too resilient to any poison.
Can confirm it was Taft.
Oh, my dude.
Teddy was probably just like, I don't think you can kill me with any sissy chemicals right here.
Well, we also didn't have it in 1901, dude. What do you
You'd
mean?
have to kill that man before he would like shave or do whatever you ask him to do with his facial hair. Like, no.
And then Taft was just like, I'm too busy being stuck in a bathtub.
Damn.
Legitimately happened.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
like, damn, don't body shame Taft.
My man's was from the best of my ability to remember, a decent president, and it's just kind of a sad shame that that's all we just get taught about this man in school is that he was stuck in a bathtub.
The only man that has ever been both a president and a Supreme Court justice is remembered for being the bathtub boy.
Right.
An absolute unit.
Did my boy Taft dirty.
He's also the president between Teddy Roosevelt and the guy who saw us through World War One. So it's like, you didn't get to do anything cool, Taft.
Right.
Sorry.
All right. With President's Day in the rearview mirror, I want to say something. Don't give too much credit to Woodrow Wilson, who was a racist asshole.
I mean,
but
so was everybody else.
Yeah, but not everybody else is quoted on record as saying, my goodness, Birth of a Nation was like writing history with lightning. And it was just like, that didn't age well, did it, Woody?
That. No.
He wasn't the only one who thought that.
Yeah, no.
You know what also didn't age well? The League of Nations. That didn't stick around, now did it, Woody?
Damn. I mean, it technically did.
No, that was the United Nations. The League of Nations dissolved within 20 years.
Fair
I
enough.
love that movie about ladies playing baseball.
There's no crying in world politics. Turns out there is, especially in the
They're just not allowed
1920s
to-
and 30s.
Yeah, you gotta go find a spare closet in the Senate and just cry it out in there first before you go back to work.
They're just like, my goodness. The League of Nations, our one job is to make sure another world war never happens again.
Well,
Ah, shit.
Well, we fucked that up. Time to go off to our
Well-
private islands.
I think the change in politics we need to see is world leaders that actually are like power stance, whatever. Their own person is intimidating enough for you to respect them. Not that they have money, not that they have like nuclear weapons behind them,
Do you
whatever.
want
So what,
JoJo
only the
United
biggest-
Nations?
Yeah, only the
Abraham
biggest
Lincoln
motherfuckers?
had one loss in his wrestling career, okay?
he's not
Mans
an
was
imposing dude,
built.
though. He was just tall. He was just very
Yeah.
tall.
And he had great facial hair. Tall,
Okay.
intimidating, and a beard. That's
Okay.
all you need.
I think you've accidentally made a pro-Putin argument.
Damn.
Except he doesn't have a kick-ass beard, though, so he doesn't
Okay.
check the boxes yet. I don't think I
Okay.
want him to have a
Yet,
beard.
damn,
though.
yet. Hold up.
That's
Yet.
the thing. I don't want him to check the boxes. Please don't ever grow a beard if Vladimir Putin is listening to this.
At the same, I'll just say this one last thing. I'm pretty sure I saw Angela Merkel do a pretty sweet power stance. So, like, I saw her do all the
Not the
JoJo
power
poses.
stance.
Angela Merkel was
Cursed
just
JoJo
hitting that
pose,
Josuke
the
pose.
power stance.
I need you to know that throughout this entire conversation, I had my Spotify open. And
Really?
yeah, I did. And Spotify reminded me of the greatest song to ever come out in the year 2021, "Trapping Out the Krusty Krab" by Big Baby Scumbag.
Yes.
All right, sure.
It's pretty good. It's got SpongeBob with he's purple, and he's got a blunt in his mouth.
It's his non-union equivalent.
Yeah, and his 2 little buck teeth are gold.
Whoa.
It's a good time.
There's extremely 2006 vibes to that entire sentence.
We've gone back to Pimp SpongeBob.
The Pimp SpongeBob that was like everybody's MySpace background,
Yes.
and you would see on T-shirts like in town, or like the one of Bugs Bunny with a gun, where he looks like he's on the poster for The Godfather.
Now it's like all those characters with like gross little face tattoos, which is fun.
We didn't know what we had, man.
Right, until it was gone.
And now everybody just looks like Lil Xan.
I don't know who that is, but I want to punch him.
You may not know who he is.
He might shoot me.
But you're correct. He's a SoundCloud TikTok boy. I don't think you have much
Those
to
dudes
worry
have
about.
guns, Gibby. The lot of them.
Mermaid man and Bodio boy, I pull up in that ghost. Yeah, I feel like SpongeBob in this bitch because I do the most. I put that burner to your head and make you feel like chrome. I make it hard for you to breathe like you ain't saying he don't.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Segue.
So as we were talking about something from 2006 that has now come back at a new stranger energy, perhaps.
This is why we pay her the big bucks, ladies and gentlemen. That's
I
right.
know how to improv. I know how to connect the dots.
Yeah.
Yes, and
So we're talking about remakes today, and why they keep happening. It's one of those things I feel like has come up in recent conversation, right? Because I if I'm gonna be honest, I think it's because film snobs are tired of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like big name producers and filmmakers or whatever are like, no, art is dead. And it's like, well, Cocaine Bear just came out and it fucking slaps. So art is very much so alive.
Cocaine Bear
But-
supremacy.
Praise the bear.
But I think there is merit to the idea of is it a good idea to keep recycling the things that we've already done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know I think in this conversation I'm not my media literacy is going to show up a lot because my experience with this is mostly through video games.
yeah, I figured you'd be going there, and I like that.
Yeah.
I like that perspective.
I know, Kaylie, you tend to be a lot more receptive to these things than me or Gibby post consuming it. Right. So what do you usually like? Especially if it's something you care about, right? What do you usually feel when somebody announces we're remaking this thing?
Well, and I think this kind of depends. I'll go philosophical. We've got video games, we've got movies coming down the line from Gibby. I'll go philosophical on this bullshit. Because to me the question is, well, what justifies a remake? Like, what is a remake versus what is a sequel? And where does that line get drawn? Like, clearly we have Shrek, and then we make Shrek 2. And when you make a sequel, arguably you're trying to capture the spirit of the first, but continue the story through new part of the world with greater stakes than last time, sort of thing.
And more celebrity guests.
Right. So you might be retreading some of the same ground, but it's not necessarily a remake versus something like we've done the Jurassic Park trilogy and now we're in Jurassic World, which felt like it started as trying to be a remake, a reboot, capturing most of the original beats, moments, feelings of the first movie, and then now has moved into its own weird conglomeration of dinosaurs overtaking the world, and God knows even what the hell is happening in those movies.
The United
at this
States
point.
Army or
Right.
Chris Pratt,
So,
too much Chris Pratt.
too much.
The
Chris
T-Rex
Pratt.
was too big for the nuke.
Too much
It ate
crisp
it.
rat. So the question there is like, is that a sequel or is that a remake at that point? Where does that line exist as we talk about what is a remake? And even more funsy philosophical, which I might touch back again as we kind of wrap things up, perhaps. The idea that we like what we know.
Yeah.
Humans are very bad about that.
Yeah.
Our brains love shortcuts. We like what we know.
Familiarity.
So sometimes this kind of crops up when producers go, well, we want to make things, we want to make art, but the numbers show it that people like these kinds of things, and we know that that's safe, and we want a low risk, high reward project right now. So let's do that. But for audiences, it's also, if you're not thinking like we do about the media you're consuming all the damn time, you might not realize, like, oh, I do gravitate towards things that have this kind of protagonist or this kind of plot or this kind of genre of rom-com, whatever. And you don't notice that you're consuming all of those things, but that's your comfort niche. That's your, like, nostalgia corner, that kind of thing. So does it matter at that point if it is the same thing over and over? If you like that? Oh, we have favorite foods and we make and remake those foods all the time. Should we stop remaking our favorite lunch specials? I don't know. Like, the more you think about it, it gets weirder and weirder in how you can begin to define remake in some circumstances. It's a messy rabbit hole, because on the surface, it's very easy to just go, yeah, the animated Disney movies are always better than the weird CG live action ones. But then you keep thinking about it, and suddenly you go, what is a movie? What is a story? We are just telling the same 10 plots that have been in Western canon's existence since we started recording these things.
Yeah.
It's all remakes. Fuck.
Yeah.
You know, I think you had a really good point on, you know, like, we want to watch what we know and what we've done before and what feels familiar. But if you just eat the same of your favorite foods every day, every single week, all the time, eventually it just doesn't taste as good as it used to.
Sure.
And I think one of the main reasons that people are pissed about remakes and reboots and remasters and everything is just the abundance, at least how it feels.
Yeah.
Who's to say? I'm not sure if it's necessarily, you know, reality, because we've been dealing with reboots and remakes for decades and decades, but with streaming services and the amount of content that's coming down the pipeline all the time, it feels like we're getting way more of them than we used to. And to back up that claim, here's a quick list of Disney and Disney Alone's planned releases for the next couple of years.
Brace yourselves.
Break out frantic Mario music.
Peter Pan and Wendy, White Man Can't Jump, The Little Mermaid, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Snow White, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Mufasa, Blade, Fantastic Four, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, Hercules, Lilo and Stitch, Sister Act 3, 3 Men and a Baby, The Aristocrats, Clue, Father of the Bride, Figment, Inspector Gadget, The League of the Extraordinary Gentlemen, National Treasure 3, Once on This Island, The Parent Trap, The Return of the Rocketeer, Robin Hood, Shrunk, Sleeping with the Enemy, The Sword and the Stone, Toy Story 5, Working Girl, and Zootopia 2. Fuck!
Okay, but nobody told me we were trying to reboot League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That movie slaps.
There she is.
I mean, also the Figment movie does sound promising, but I digress.
It's a movie based on a single walk-around character
He
from
is the
Epcot
greatest
in
part of
1995.
Epcot, God damn it. I
You're
won't
the
have you
reason that
slandering
Disney
him.
is going to control all of our lives.
Dreamfinder and Figment are the spirit of Epcot, God damn it.
Children, relax, dude.
Anyways, now that I've got that emotion out of the way,
That was impressive read through that list, too.
thank you. Only like 3 breaths. But I thought about it for a little while, and the initial reaction is, remakes, bad.
Mhm.
But pushing away some emotion and, hot takes to the side here, I thought and came up with 3 reasons why I think a remake could be good
Number 1.
of something. Number 1 is a new creator has something to say / potential for a new angle on the story.
Mm-hmm.
The examples that I was able to come up with there were West Side Story, Ocean's 11, which is a remake of a movie the Rat Pack made back in like the 50s or 60s. And this might be a controversial one, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because the fan base is split.
The new one or the classic?
Well, that's the thing. The Gene Wilder one versus the Johnny Depp.
The fandom
Yeah.
is very divisive about which one is the
It's spicy.
superior. Yeah.
Gene
And they're
Wilder.
both going to unite against the Timothee Chalamet Wonka
Absolutely.
movie. It's going to happen
Wha-
because that's a
what?
remake that's going to
Yeah,
happen.
we're getting a third one this winter.
So is it about how a man got tiny slaves for his chocolate factory? Like, what's the word? I don't want to see that. Fuck you, Chalamet.
So we're not getting him to play Gibby. Never mind.
Damn it, man. All right, I'll settle for, I don't know, one of the Stranger Things kids. That'll be fine. But reason 2, a story becomes more accessible to an audience than before, primarily due to the better technology that's now able to produce it. This one, I could come up with a lot of things because there's been a lot of sci-fi reboots and remakes that are better at capturing the vision and the design of the art because our technology has improved so much. Examples of those are things like Dune, It, The Fly, Planet of the Apes, and The Mummy. Specifically, 90s versus the 1930s.
Yes.
I am not giving any credit to the shitty Tom Cruise movie.
we
Brendan
don't count that
Fraser
one.
is king.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Tommy. And the third category, I didn't come up with as many examples for this, but I think it's still potential. Having the perfect casting without really changing much else about the movie. Primary example, A Star is Born. That movie's been made over like 3 or 4 separate times.
Yeah.
And now everybo's like, all right, Lady Gaga and, Bradley Cooper. You got it. You get
Yep, nailed it. Got it in 1.
Got it in 4.
As well as something like The Birdcage, because it's Nathan Lane and Robin Williams. Like they nailed it. Perfect casting. Like they took La Cage aux Folles and they made it a fantastic movie. Those are my 3 ideas there.
Yeah.
And most of those are covering movies versus something like video games, which I know, Bo, you want to talk about. That's primarily a technology thing, at least from my perspective. And I know as soon as I say the next thing, your next line is fuck Nintendo, but people really, really, really like the Metroid Prime remake that just got dropped. And it's a showcase of how, technology, especially with video games, just is exponential with potential for a high quality product.
Yeah, fuck Nintendo. But
I knew
it.
He's a fortune teller.
But I do
JoJo
think,
Part 2, baby.
yeah, but in terms of like, because video games are such a specific kind of media, because you're not a passive participant, you're an active participant, right? I know games, quote, classic games that I've played as a child were not necessarily remakes, but re-releases.
Yeah.
Because Super Nintendo games, a ton of them re-released on Game Boy Advance, which is how I played them as a kid. But there are levels to it, right? You have
Levels to the shit.
Yeah, you have your re-releases, which is just we ported the game up to the new hardware, or the new hardware. It runs usually worse, but it's there and you have it. There's remasters, right, which is the Metroid Prime situation. We upped the resolutions. We retooled a couple things, right? Maybe it runs a little faster.
7.
Well, that's
Metal Gear.
that's different, right? Because you go to
I
Final
thought that
Fantasy
was a
7.
remaster.
That's a remake,
Oh,
right? That means we totally made a new
Sure.
game from the ground up.
I thought that one
using
was
the
a
bump.
remaster.
No, man,
technically.
because the new, I think they call it Final Fantasy 7 Remaster, but it's a totally remake. Like, it plays completely different. It has different story beats. Final Fantasy 7 Remake is almost a completely different game than Final Fantasy 7 because they're also taking the liberty of adding story bits. They're completely changing some characters who died in the very early on in the original Final Fantasy 7 have lasted through part 1. Sephiroth is in the entire fucking game, even though actually in Final Fantasy 7 he's like in the back half sometimes.
We had to get this man more screen time. Have you seen the fan base?
It's because everybody expects it. That's a different conversation. But it's I think that's the merit to it when it comes to video games, right? Is if a game's still good, you're giving more people the opportunity to play it, right? But you also have, and this is where I think the contention comes in. You have the easy wins. Still, I'm a fuck Nintendo shit. The Mario All-Stars pack, right? Which was back in 2020, 2019, something like that. It was 2020.
Somewhere when the world started to end.
Yeah. They quote unquote remastered 3 3D Mario games, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, and they're all really shitty ports, right? They're very, they run poorly, they're very bad.
And not only that, you can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. You can't
because
find
they Disney vaulted that shit.
they discontinued selling other digital versions of it. And then they said, hey, if you want to buy the $60 bundle as opposed to paying $40 for each of these, you only have, it's January, you only have till March, and then we're not selling it this way anymore, right?
Okay.
So
fuck
you
us, I
have,
guess.
it's when, because to Kaylee's point earlier, media is fucking expensive to make.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you start to get into that cost versus profit margin, and if we're like, we could make a ton of profit with basically zero cost, I feel like that's where people start to run against the, hey, why do we keep doing this, right? You lose the enjoyment of that classic thing and you start butting heads with, this just sucks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessarily that there aren't creatives out there that have great new ideas. There's a lot of that thriving in indie spaces, whether it's like Itch.io or other indie game spots or YouTube for movies or series, animators, filmmakers. There's lots of new stuff. It's just buried under the amount of media content that we consume daily. And my kind of hypothesis, I guess, again, we don't have any hard research to back this up, but, just maybe it's sort of a gut feeling.
Yeah.
Remakes are not new, clearly, because human beings have done this for eons since we've been storytellers and artists and creatives. We steal from each other all the time.
Sure.
That's how we
Directly.
make new shit, is you just steal the same things a couple times and add a little different spice or flavor to it with each step. And eventually it doesn't look like the original thing anymore. We were still telling the story of Orpheus and Eurydice thousands of years later, but now they've got fun trombone jazz music and we think we're in New Orleans, maybe. I don't know.
Sick. Go watch Hades Town.
Go watch Hades Town. But now we live in a very, very media-heavy landscape, and the last century has, exactly like to Gibby's point, like seen movies get remade because movie technology improves, but now, not that the internet has necessarily, like, driven up, like, we have to improve media in that sense, but we see so much more media every single day whether we like it or not, it's not always an active choice about going to a movie or picking up a specific game to play after school. We are bombarded with it constantly and seeing so many things constantly that the sort of the worth, the value, cultural currency of this joke, of this trope, of this piece of film, media, etc., gets worn down perhaps faster.
Maybe a lot quicker than it normally would have.
As we have to churn out to fill in those gaps, suddenly we are faced with this practical question more and more from companies producing it, where it's we can gamble on a new thing, but we don't know if it'll do well, and are people going to look at it because there's already so many other things? Well, what if we give them something that they already know? Will they come back to that? Well, it had these numbers 20 years ago. Maybe it'll have these numbers now. Who knows? And just sort of hoping the statistics will work out and maybe you'll have enough money to invest into a new project that'll drive up numbers further when you've got space to have high risk but high reward potential.
Yeah, I think you make a good point because I think you make a good point because I'm thinking of a reimagining Velma, which we all agree fucking sucks, right? But in my mind,
talked about this last time. We won't
did
say
talk
anymore
about
on
this
it.
last time. Fuck Velma. It's getting a second season. I'm mad about it. It probably already had 2 seasons. That's just how it works. But
Sure.
Controversy.
It sucks. But I know with my thing, right, or with my perception, right, because I was thinking, didn't we just have a Scooby-Doo remake? And it's like, no, we just had like 4, right?
Yeah.
There was the Mystery Inc. Yeah. There was the Mystery Inc. one. There was another one on Cartoon Network. There was the Blue Falcon movie, which why the fuck did you make a movie about Scooby-Doo's Beast hero? Like
we had the property, okay?
Yeah. And then there was Velma, right? So on top of I think to Kaylie's point, being bombarded with just constant media, I think media lasts a lot longer than it would have, or at least the good parts of media lasts a lot longer, whether that's people regurgitating the jokes on social media or just sharing clips of something over and over and over again, or even you saved a clip of something, a joke you liked. John Cena punched a boulder in the Scooby-Doo thing. I know I have that shit in my YouTube like somewhere, right?
So something that I think people have against a lot of the reboots and remakes is that I don't think they would be so mad if it was just a shot for shot sort of thing, because then it's either good or it's forgettable.
Sure.
Like it kind of comes and it goes. The shelf life isn't as great there. But call me a broken record, but Lindsay Ellis had a great video on this.
Lindsay Ellis.
Shout outs. She is
Our
rad
queen.
and making stuff on Nebula. She rules. But she talked about the Disney live action remakes specifically, which is where a lot of people draw their ire from, because they're just like,
which is fair.
Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, who do you think you are? And what she figured out that a lot of people didn't like is that with, the Disney princess brand and everything, Disney tried to have their cake and eat it too with a lot of these remakes.
Eat their cake and have it too.
French people with their curly hair thinking they can have
Fucking
cake.
Chalamet.
God damn it, Chalamet.
Fucking Chalamet's at it again. Get out of my movie, Chalamet. Get out of there. You can't be me.
You're not the
Anyways.
only person. We have collectively been saying that phrase
Yes.
wrong for like a century.
Fuck. Anyways, she talked about how they tried to have, the princess brand and image while also adding a whole lot and about like, princess is right. I'm a scientist. I'm not like the other girls, where they tried to be both things at once and add a lot to their original stories with like either expansions on a character that nobody was really looking for, or just brand new characters that detract from the story. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I would say that the original Princess Jasmine is a pretty outspoken character.
Yeah.
That's her whole deal.
Okay, Disney looked at that and said, no, make her a girl boss. And we're going to have a whole song about her being a girl boss. And now it's good. That other one, shit, who cares? We've got Will Smith Genie now. Everybody wanted that. Or, making Dumbo not the central character of Dumbo and having essentially the original plot of Dumbo just act 1 or act 2 in the remake of it, and having a whole arc of it being about Michael Keaton and his Disneyland equivalent, because we all asked for it.
Well, that was one of those where I was like, this seems like it wants to take artistic license and do something with this story.
Like
because
they wrote a different movie, but they were like, make
yeah,
it Dumbo.
But, exactly, but
Yeah.
Disney told them, but you have to make it Dumbo.
Go, Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Make it Dumbo.
Make it an elephant.
Make it an elephant.
But I
also,
mean,
they added a lot of girl boss stuff to the Lion King, which
oh
was
my God,
kind
yeah.
of
I think
odd.
from my understanding, currently The Lion King is still the most egregious attempt at being a shot-for-shot remake and doing it poorly. The thing I always think about is how The Lion King has been adapted in so many ways now,
Yeah.
because the Broadway version of Disney theatrical, I will shit on so many things that corporate Disney does, but Disney theatrical is doing their homework. They're fucking doing it right. Because Lion King was, well, do we just make, like, how do we do this? And they had to take a leap of faith that leaning on the, like, African Serengeti identity and allowing puppeteering to help storytell was going to carry that into a live action theatrical space. And it worked. It looks nothing like the movie, but you go watch
To
that.
the medium.
But exactly, you watch that, you are back in those moments, exactly the way you felt watching the animated original.
And I agree with what you're saying, but I feel like we're crossing the line between a re-release and an adaptation, right?
Sure.
Because we're changing the style of media when we go from film to stage, right?
Yeah.
Because then again, it's an adaptation. You have to make the changes in order to say, well, we can't hard cut to be prepared because stage has to change, right? We can't just go like, and now we're in the next place, right?
Yeah.
Which is a discussion worth having, and I think we already did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Listen to our Broadway to movies and our movies to Broadway.
Yeah, we've talked about this at a couple different places, and especially those Broadways and movies things.
But film specifically, going from one film to the
next
other
film.
is let's just say it's bad. That's a good place to start.
Because so I'm conflicted, right? Because I would always argue, why make something again if you're not going to try to add to it or tweak it, right?
Yeah.
Money!
Also, yes. But
Mr. Krabs.
In defense of these garbage Disney remakes, sidebar, they're about to ruin Lilo and Stitch, which I'm so
God,
sad
I
about. And it's
just-
like, if you're going to do one of these, Atlantis is right there.
Right!
Atlantis is right there.
Yeah, but the algorithm and the projections.
You're right.
You
Lilo and Stitch is a strange movie that people still have a lot of passion about. I don't get it.
Hey, I'll fight you
it's
on
a good
the
film. It's a good film.
I love that movie, but I agree, that's a weird choice. Yeah, that's a weird choice to live action remake.
God,
but
why?
but to my point, right? I see very little merit outside of profit to spend the money it takes to create a movie the exact same way we did 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, just with different people and better technology, right? Like when the inevitable 5, 10 years from now, when they start remaking Harry Potter movies, right? It's inevitable. We all know it's going to happen.
Well, it's been confirmed we're getting a Cursed Child movie.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. Read a different book. I don't even read that many books, so I shouldn't be saying this, but read a different book, people.
I'm like 90% sure that was a confirmed announcement, and now I'm second guessing myself because I don't want it to be true.
But like when that does inevitably happen, if they don't change the game a little bit, right? Maybe not change the plot, but include different things from the books, right? It's modern times. It's the 2020s, or will be the 2020s, 2030s. If it's not like a 4-hour long movie and it's like, this time we didn't cut anything out of the book, right? I wouldn't find, I wouldn't see what the merit for that is outside of profit, personally, you know?
There's a few of those that are just like, you don't pass my 3-prong test for remakes.
The Gibby test.
The official Gibby method.
Tell me the Gibby test. Let's get it.
The official Gibby method TM.
There's the Bechdel test, and now there's the Gibby test. This is all you need for evaluating movies critically. No, like I think The Lion King is absolutely the poster child for like failing the Gibby test, where I get that you have new technology and you want to use it, but it doesn't improve the story to take a grandiose piece of 2D animation and turn it so photorealistic that it becomes disorienting and alienating.
Devoid of life.
Yeah, you're showing off this incredible technology that works better as a sample of what tech can do than an actual narrative and movie. And not only that, the really big push for this movie was the cast. You've got Beyonce, you know, you've got Seth Rogen, you've got Eric Andre. I know he's not equivalent to the other two, but I still like him, so I'm still putting him up there. Like, you have a huge cast full of celebrities, like on celebrities, where like that is the
and
number
James Earl
2.
Jones is back. Wow! It's the same voice actor this time.
And John Oliver is here. It's just kind of like, if the main reasons you're remaking a movie are to show off new technology and your celebrity cast, then your real reason is money.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's just frustrating when you have something that, like, in its time and place is perfect for what it is, to say, hey, you remember this thing? What if we gave you that thing again and you gave us some more money? Which is why I'm very, very anti the concept of a new Hercules movie. Hercules is not my favorite Disney movie by a long shot.
It's not even a good movie. It just rules.
I was about to get so upset at that statement.
No,
I'm
it's
like,
my
okay,
favorite.
No,
it's my favorite Disney Renaissance movie. It's a shit movie.
People love it. Yeah, like beat for beat, it's not a quality story, but it's a good story because
fun.
we like it. It's fun. It's dumb. It's Hercules. He's a big, dumb, fun hunk.
Himbo.
They're just going to take a property that people remember, and I just have no faith in a way that they could remake that story and make it compelling for people other than for the purpose of driving up their profit margins.
We made him black. It's like, okay, but like, cool.
Okay.
Yeah. Hercules is a Mexican guy. Great. Okay, cool.
That doesn't seem accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, if we're going with the Disney-fication of Hercules as the source material, you already got, like, a Southern gospel choir-style chorus in the middle of ancient Greece.
Megara is a Jewish queen for some reason.
Right. There's a lot happening.
Yeah, there's a lot happening in that movie, but, like, it comes down to
fucking slaps,
what do you add to a movie that already has so fucking much going on that, like, it's already a mess of a movie. It's a hot mess,
Absolutely.
but it's like, it's a mess. What do you add on to that other than, I just don't see how you can make that without taking away from what people like about it.
Yes.
It's such a product of its time.
And then we get into the aspect of adaptation within a remake, right? Because the whole deal, and I think the thing, if we stay on the topic of films in Disney, I think the thing that ruins a lot of these is that they're not animated anymore, which is their charm. So you take that away either because it's cheaper or easier, or the technology makes it more accessible to just crank out a bunch of CG as opposed to animating something or practical effects. And it loses.
Animation is so expensive. Well, you're a fucking animation studio. I'm sure
Right.
you've got the money somewhere to pay for it.
Yeah,
We have only a few tens of billions of dollars. We can't pay for the CGI in your Marvel movies.
what about our investors?
How are we supposed to animate MODOK?
And why don't
What
we
were we
try
supposed to do?
hand drawing some?
No! Disgusting. But now
That's gonna peak on your audio.
Sorry.
But like go again, like with video games too, right? Purist will be like, oh, they changed the controls, therefore it doesn't play well anymore. Mario 64 plays like shit, y'all. It's a bad game. There, I said it. It's there, it's recorded, right? Mario 64 sucks. Resident Evil 1 with tank controls is fucking shit. I said it.
Every Resident
me.
Evil game with the original controls is
It's
bad.
so bad. It's like, oh, it leads to the experience. It leads to the experience because it makes it scarier because you're useless. In what world do I want to play a video game where I can't fucking walk in a straight line without doing a K turn?
Quap.
Like, fuck you, right? It's
Quap goes in a straight line. He just goes back and forward.
Resident Evil, but it's Quap.
He's on a track, Kaylie. He is on a track for sprinting and for hurdles. I know eventually it
Can you
curves, but it doesn't
imagine,
happen
though?
in the game.
Can you imagine a Resident Evil like Quap style game? I just want to know how, like, could you finish it? Could some self, like, torture inflicting individual finish that? and
Look,
be
I
like,
saw
"Look,
somebody
here
beat
it is."
Ornstein and Smo on a DDR dance pad. Anything's possible.
Oh my god.
no, my point being, right? Sometime there are points in which the improvement in technology could improve, i.e.
Yeah.
making Mario 64 not control like shit, or taking tank controls out of Resident Evil 1, or it can take away, right, in these photorealistic but still CG uncanny valley lions that are talking to each other and singing and just making, or big blue Will Smith, right? Terrifying beast, man. I'm trying to think of anything else. Optimus Prime's face in the Transformers movies freaks me out. I don't like
That's
it.
fair.
Right.
That's fair. He's so much better when he has the protective shield over his mouth.
Yeah, when he has the
Yeah.
mask on, but then when he takes it off and he's got like the metal lips, and I'm like, ew.
Oh, God, that's
Ugh.
creepy.
Yeah.
We
I'm not
weren't
a
meant
fan.
to see this.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were just supposed to see a triangle go up and down on his
Right.
face. That's what God intended when he made the Transformers.
God intended for my alien car robot
Yes.
hybrids.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, what about in the case of video games, and maybe just for clarification, but like there's all the big joke that like the folks at Xbox, the folks at Blizzard, like they just make the same game and release it again. Halo, Call of Duty, and like for Nintendo,
Warcraft.
usually that's or yeah, Warcraft.
Yeah.
They usually, I was thinking with Nintendo, like Mario Kart,
Mario-
like Mario
every-
Party,
Every
like
3D
those are things.
Zelda game.
Yeah, that like in some of those cases, and I think I'm just thinking of like mostly Mario Kart specifically been most of my experience of like the beauty of that is that once you just learn the controls for the new console, you remember how to play the game again.
Yeah.
But does it make it much more? Is it really a new game at that point?
Yeah.
Or is it because even though you still do the like, oh, but now it's got new tracks or new features or new whatever, or we've cleaned up this thing, or now you can do this. Does that make it a whole new game? Is it a remake? Even though you're
It's a sequel.
yeah, or is it sequel territory at that point?
Here's how I would define these things. A sequel is a direct follow-up to that original property that builds upon it, like you were saying earlier with the Shrek movies, keeping the same tone, building upon it with a few new additions here and there. A remake, to me, is typically your shot-for-shot or at least beat-for-beat style thing, potentially with a few new elements added in. A reboot... Fuck. All I can ever think of is just like MacGyver, Magnum PI, Hawaii Five-0, CBS on Friday night.
I think a reboot is using the dressings of something that already existed.
Spider-Man.
Don't. Just don't.
Don't bring J. Jonah into this.
Leave.
Look, we've had like 3 Spider-Men in the past 25 years. 2 of them were reboots.
Yeah.
Yep.
It is what it is. Where it's a different story, but it's the same origin and the same characters placed in a different setting. Oh, cool! I accidentally did reboot. I accidentally defined it, and all it took was Spider-Man.
It's taking something that already exists, taking the dressings and the core tenets of something that already exists, and then trying to fill the gaps with like new shit. Maybe take the story in a different direction. Yeah, no Uncle Ben in the new Spider-Man, which is weird. I find strange because how does he become Spider-Man if not for Uncle Ben? Anyway,
it's because you're already supposed to know,
right? We've done this a couple dozen times already. You know this.
Ben has to die.
We're not gonna do that again. We'll save that punch for later.
And so do I. I'm gonna kill Uncle Ben.
No.
I'm so drained by what you just did. Like physically, emotionally, mentally. I don't know where I was going. It's over. It's done. It's gone.
It's over now. It's all been ruined by Rick Astley.
Always gonna kill your Ben.
What are last thoughts? We're done.
I guess in last thoughts for me is there we have the Gibby TM
Gibby method
list of qualifying a remake in authenticating and justifying it. But in the case of rebooting a franchise or like making that sort of hybrid remaster sequel kind of thing to a new game, like where is there a just general yes, no, or is there a sliding scale of when these things are useful for companies to actually delve into look at their library and dig around the bottom of the box and go, oh, hey, we still have this.
I think there's merit to that, right? Especially with a lot of these like generational companies, your Nintendos, your Disneys, your Square Enixes, where the people working there now are the fans of the stuff that existed 20, 30 years ago, right? I stand by my statement in that if you're going to break this thing out of the vault, you need to add something new to it, right? There has to be the passion to change up what exists in some shape, form, or fashion. Right. And then the justification again is to a profit. Right. But outside of that is to bring this thing to a new audience and then take it. And then number 2 is take it in a different direction, slight or extreme. Right.
All art in our culture is driven by profit. And that just is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's a necessary evil so that you can make some more art
until we actually
have
a national endowment of the arts that actually substantially pays for national art in the United States of America. We will always be suffering at the hands of art for profit.
But until then, you have to have a reason that justifies making it other than just surface level stuff. It has to be relevant enough and meaningful enough that we forget that the real reason is money. If you can really suck us in here and just be like, hey, check this out, you're really gonna like it because guess what? We can actually make Dune look good now. Then it's easy to be a consumer that gets absorbed in the material and just be able to appreciate the art for what it is and being able to leave some of the cynicism behind.
Also, just like try. Don't try too hard.
Yeah,
because you'll fuck it up.
If you don't
but,
love
like,
it,
try.
don't do it.
Yeah.
If you don't love it, why are you the project lead on this project team for The Witcher on Netflix?
Ooh, stinky.
Damn.
They don't even like the books. Henry Cavill was like, why don't you like the books if you're making this? What are you doing? I know so much more than you do. And he was
Stan,
right.
a true king.
He's the king of nerds. He really is.
And that's why he deserves to make the Warhammer 40K
Can I
series.
say, outside of playing Street Fighter 6 with Jamie Lee Curtis, the thing that will complete my life, Mr. Cavill, if you're listening, I want to be in that movie. I want more than anything. I want to be in. I will learn about Warhammer. I will buy the collectibles.
You will get Bo
bitches.
to check
Get
out
him all the
Grimdark
miniatures.
Media.
Right. I played Vermintide. Vermintide 2 is tight. Mr. Henry Cavill, put me in that movie, please. I'm begging you.
Bo has the beard and the buff. Please make it happen.
Yes.
Give Bo a giant set of metal
You need a
armor.
handsome man that can do comedy and seriousness, but is shorter than you. I got that.
He's buff with a beard. He could either be in Warhammer or he could be our next president. We'll
Hell
find
yeah.
out.
Oh my God, Bo for president.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Liberal Artist Podcast. Socials and such. We're on Twitter. I think that's it. I know we're on Instagram.
We're on Twitter and we're on Instagram. Come on.
Do Instagram.
Do a Instagram. Do a tweet.
I don't like Elon Musk, but
Oh God.
Yeah.
No.
join us next time when we beg Henry Cavill to put us all in the Warhammer movie.
Please, I'll even be a goblin. I'll be a shitty little orc.
Peace.
The Liberal Artists Podcast premieres every other Thursday on your favorite podcasting platform. The show is hosted by Bodio, Kaylie Horowitz, and Andy Gibson. You can find the show at Liberal Artists Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks to White Hot for performing the theme song Reflect, which can be found on freebeats.io. Now, I'm off to go exploring, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find a sheep that I can call my own. Good day.
Okay, but for real, how did we just talk for an hour about remakes and remasters and everything and not mention fucking Full Metal Alchemist 1?
But
Full Metal
because
Alchemist.
that's different. It's not the same. I refuse to have it in that category.
There's a whole one word different in the title.
No,
it's
it's
different.
a true story.
I got a joke about it in there. That's enough of a reference, right?